You are sitting quietly on your floor, legs crossed, trying to follow the rhythmic breathing of an app on your phone. You inhale for 4 seconds, hold for 4, and exhale for 4. You have the weighted blanket over your lap, the dim lighting, and the soothing sound machine playing in the background. Yet, underneath the physical protocols, your chest feels like a pressure cooker. Your jaw is clenched, your mind is racing with everything you have to do, and a quiet, toxic frustration begins to rise. You think to yourself, I am doing all the right steps, so why am I still vibrating with anxiety? Why is my body refusing to calm down? You feel a deep, isolating shame, convinced that your nervous system is simply too damaged to be fixed. If this is familiar, if you have ever tried to regulate yourself out of an emotional storm, only to find that the quiet panic inside you only grew louder, what you are facing is not a failure of your body, it is the consequence of a modern cultural illusion. In the wellness space today, we are flooded with tips, tricks, and somatic exercises designed to soothe our nerves. But according to the psychological philosophy of Dr. Gabor Maté, the wellness industry has sold us a profound misunderstanding. The biggest lie about nervous system regulation is the belief that it is supposed to make you feel calm all the time. We have treated regulation as a physical performance, a way to force our bodies into a state of quiet, compliant numbness so that we can keep functioning in lives that do not actually fit us. And until you understand the difference between true biological safety and forced emotional suppression, you will continue to use the tools of healing as weapons of self-sabotage. This is not a guide on how to breathe away your stress. This is a journey into the deep, relational biology of your survival, designed to help you dismantle the myths of regulation and finally listen to the truth your body has been trying to tell you. To understand why our modern view of nervous system regulation is so deeply flawed, we must look at how we define normal behavior in our culture. We are taught to believe that a regulated nervous system is a quiet one. We praise the person who is always balanced, always smiling, always productive, and never overwhelmed by anger, grief, or fear. We treat our emotional spikes, our sudden anxieties, our intense rages, our heavy depressive crashes, as biological malfunctions that must be corrected with the right somatic tools. But Gabor Maté's work consistently shows that this view is not only inaccurate, it is deeply harmful. From a trauma-informed perspective, your nervous system is not a machine that needs to be kept running at a smooth, constant speed. It is an exquisite, relational organ of perception. Its primary job is not to keep you calm, but to keep you alive. To do this, it must constantly respond to the emotional and physical reality of your environment. As children, we develop our nervous system baselines in response to our families. If you grew up in a home where your parents were stressed, emotionally unavailable, or volatile, your system had to adapt. To maintain attachment, which is a child's absolute survival requirement, you had to learn how to manage your parents' emotions. If your anger made your mother withdraw, or if your sadness made your father angry, your young nervous system learned that expressing your true feelings was dangerous. So, your body made a brilliant, protective decision. It chose to suppress your authenticity to secure your connection. The body remembers what the mind was forced to forget. You learn to go numb, you learn to keep your shoulders tight, your breathing shallow, and your emotions buried so that you would never disrupt the emotional harmony of your home. But as an adult, we mistake this state of chronic, quiet numbness for regulation. We think that because we are not screaming, crying, or panicking, we are healthy. This is the central illusion. True regulation is not the absence of emotion. It is the capacity to feel whatever is actually happening inside you without abandoning yourself. And this is where the wellness industry's advice gets dangerous. Let us look at 3 patterns where the biggest lie about nervous system regulation keeps us trapped in a loop of self-medication and somatic exhaustion. And the next pattern is the one most high achievers refuse to see in themselves. The first pattern of this illusion is the performance of the Zen mask. You are someone who prides yourself on your emotional control. When crisis strikes at work or home, you do not panic. You remain calm, steady, and logical. You are the mediator, the problem solver, the one who handles everyone else's chaos without making a sound. When you feel anxious or angry, you immediately go to your room, do your breathing exercises, write in your journal, and try to return to a state of peace. You treat your negative emotions as uninvited guests that you must politely usher out the door. But here is what most people miss. According to Dr. Gabor Maté, forcing yourself to look calm when you are actually terrified, angry, or grieving is not regulation. It is functional freezing. When you use somatic exercises to bypass your actual emotions, you are not soothing your nervous system. You are simply forcing it back into the old childhood contract of self-abandonment. You are telling your body your true feelings are inconvenient. You must be quiet so we can keep performing. This doesn't mean you're broken. It means your mind learned to protect you by wearing an armor of artificial peace. That calm exterior, that is not health. That is intelligence in service of survival, using wellness protocols to maintain the safe, low-maintenance mask that kept you connected in childhood. But the cost of this mask is devastating. When you suppress your healthy anger or your deep grief, the stress hormones do not disappear. They remain trapped in your tissues, your joints, and your immune system, slowly manifesting as chronic physical illness, fatigue, and pain. True regulation means having the courage to let the mask fall, to let your body shake with fear, or to let your voice shake with anger, knowing that your truth is more important than your comfort. And this is where the illusion of regulation becomes even more isolating, leading us into the second trap. The second pattern is the hyper-independent regulation trap. You believe that the health of your nervous system is entirely your own responsibility. You spend hundreds of dollars on weighted blankets, blue light blocking glasses, supplements, ice baths, and meditation apps. You isolate yourself in quiet rooms, believing that you must fix your dysregulation alone before you can safely return to the human world. When a relationship or a conversation triggers you, you immediately withdraw to regulate yourself, refusing to let anyone see your raw, unpolished distress. From a trauma-informed perspective, this is a profound biological misunderstanding. Humans are not designed to self-regulate in isolation. We are social mammals, biologically wired for co-regulation. According to Gabor Maté's clinical work, a child's brain cannot learn how to soothe itself without the warm gaze, the steady heartbeat, and the calm voice of an attuned adult. We learn safety through connection. If your early caregivers were unsafe, absent, or overwhelmed, your young system learned a painful lesson. I am only safe when I am alone. Other people are the source of my dysregulation, and I can only trust myself to soothe my pain. As an adult, your obsession with solo regulation protocols is often just the adult version of that childhood survival reflex. The body remembers what the mind was forced to forget. You are using biohacks and silent rooms to avoid the terrifying vulnerability of needing another human being. Not because something was wrong with you, because something was wrong with the environment that forced a child to soothe their own broken heart. Your hyper-independent self. Soothing is not progress. It is your childhood defense mechanism dressed up as modern wellness. True healing does not happen in a vacuum. It happens in the terrifying, beautiful space of safe human connection, where we allow our dysregulated bodies to be held, seen, and co-regulated by another steady soul. And this brings us to the deepest, most invisible lie of all, the one that sits at the very heart of the modern self-improvement movement. The third pattern, the deepest one, is using regulation as a tool of self-abuse. You are using nervous system regulation to stay in a life that your soul is actively trying to reject. You wake up every morning feeling a deep, heavy dread about your job, your relationship, or your lifestyle. Your body is screaming at you. It is giving you panic attacks, chronic gut issues, migraines, and severe exhaustion. But instead of listening to the message, you use your somatic tools to quiet the alarm. You take a cold shower to shock your brain, do 20 minutes of box breathing to lower your heart rate, take your supplements, and force your body back into the very environment that is draining your life force. You're using regulation to make yourself more tolerant of your own exploitation. This is the ultimate self-sabotage loop. According to Dr. Gabor Maté, your symptoms are not mechanical errors to be corrected. Your anxiety, your depression, and your physical illnesses are your body's brilliant, desperate attempt to say the no that your lips are too afraid to speak. When you use regulation protocols to shut down these symptoms, you are acting as the executioner of your own authenticity. You are using somatic tools to silence the last voice that is trying to save you. That is not weakness. That is intelligence in service of survival, trying to keep you functional in a system that is slowly killing you. But the price of this compliance is your life. True nervous system regulation is not about finding a way to stay calm while you're being mistreated, overlooked, or overworked. It is about reclaiming your biological boundaries. It is about letting your nervous system feel the full, uncomfortable weight of its distress so that you can use that energy to change your life. Sometimes, a healthy, regulated nervous system is not quiet. It is angry. It is rebellious. It is walking out the door of a toxic workplace, leaving an emotionally abusive relationship, or screaming into a pillow after decades of silence. You are not broken. You have never been broken. You adapted to environments that asked you to be quiet, convenient, and small to keep the peace. You built these survival strategies because, at one point in your life, your very survival depended on your ability to go numb and keep performing. But you are no longer that helpless child. You do not have to use breathing apps to quiet the healthy indignation of your body. You do not have to use ice baths to freeze the warm, creative fire of your authenticity. According to Dr. Maté, healing is not about achieving a state of perfect, flat calm. It is about a compassionate return to your true self. It is about looking at your panic, your anger, and your exhaustion and saying, I hear you. I see you. I am not going to try to force you to be quiet anymore. I am ready to listen. When you stop trying to fix your dysregulation and start trying to understand it, the internal war ends. You stop treating your body like a broken machine and start treating it as a sacred biological truth teller. This is slow, quiet, and revolutionary work. It will not happen in a single day of meditation. It happens in the tiny daily choices of your life. It is the moment you feel the sudden rush of anger, and instead of breathing it away, you let it warm your chest and use it to say a clear, firm no. It is the moment you feel the heavy wave of exhaustion, and instead of pushing through with caffeine and breathing protocols, you lie down on the floor and let yourself weep for how tired you are. It is the moment you look at a life that is comfortable but hollow, and you allow yourself to feel the disorienting, terrifying restlessness of a soul that is ready to grow. Each small choice is a message of safety to your cells. You are teaching your nervous system that it no longer has to hide its truth to keep its connection. You are showing your body that you are finally strong enough to be your own safe harbor. The same body that learned how to go numb to survive is fully capable of learning how to feel, shake, cry, and rejoice again. You are not fighting your nature. You are coming back to life. Which of these three patterns felt the most familiar, or perhaps the most challenging, to you in your journey? If conversations like this feel valuable to you, consider subscribing. This channel is a dedicated sanctuary for those who are ready to stop managing their symptoms and start honoring the deep, biological truth of their authenticity. Self-understanding will not rewrite your past, but it will change how your past lives inside your body today. And that is where your freedom begins. The deepest lie we've been told about healing is that we must always be calm to be healthy. Sometimes the most regulated thing your body can do is scream, cry, or walk away from what is destroying you. If this message spoke to you, which pattern of forced calm have you been running? And what is one true feeling you are ready to let yourself experience today? The regulation lie, why calm is a trap, somatic self-sabotage. Why does trying to regulate your nervous system often leave you feeling more anxious, frustrated, and exhausted? In this deeply validating video inspired by the psychological philosophy of Dr. Gabor Maté, we expose the biggest lie about nervous system regulation, the belief that it is supposed to make you feel calm all the time. Discover how the wellness industry has turned somatic healing into a tool of self-suppression, forcing us back into the childhood trauma loops of prioritizing attachment over authenticity. We break down 3 profound patterns of somatic self-sabotage: the Zen mask of emotional numbing, the hyper-independent regulation trap, and the dangerous use of biohacks to stay in toxic environments. Learn how to stop treating your survival responses as biological errors and start honoring them as the raw, protective truths of your authentic self.